Welcome to our channel, your gateway to the most spine-chilling tales and unnerving true stories. Today, we present a harrowing true story, The Whispering Woods. Get ready to be on the edge of your seat as we delve into this unsettling narrative. But be warned, comfort is the last thing you'll find here. Emma, a 25-year-old adventurous woman, had always been fascinated by tales of the supernatural. She had heard stories of the haunted Whispering Woods in a remote village in the Black Forest of Germany and decided to visit it during her travels. The village folk warned her against venturing into the woods at night, as they believed it was the domain of malevolent spirits. However, Emma was determined to prove them wrong and set out into the woods under the light of a full moon. As she walked deeper into the forest, the whispers that had been following her since she entered the woods grew louder. The trees seemed to be alive with an eerie energy, and shadows danced around her, making her heart race. The air was thick with a sense of foreboding, and Emma couldn't shake off the feeling that she was not alone. She pushed on, driven by her curiosity and a stubborn refusal to admit that she was scared. After what seemed like hours of walking, Emma stumbled upon an ancient stone altar surrounded by eerie symbols etched into the ground. The centerpiece of the altar was an old tome, bound in human skin. Intrigued, she approached it cautiously and brushed her hand against the leather binding. It was cold and rough to the touch, as if it had been there for centuries. Against her better judgment, she reached out and carefully turned the first page. As soon as she did so, the whispers around her grew louder, and the shadows seemed to dance with renewed vigor. The pages of the tome were covered in arcane symbols and ancient script, but Emma was able to decipher some of it. She realized that the tome was a grimoire, a book of dark magic, and that it had been used by a powerful sorcerer to trap the spirits of the forest within its pages. As she continued to read, the whispers grew louder and more insistent, and the shadows began to encroach upon her, making it difficult to see. She could feel the presence of the spirits surrounding her, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Despite the growing danger, Emma couldn't help but continue reading, driven by a mixture of curiosity and a desire to prove her courage. She reached the final page of the grimoire and, without thinking, began to read aloud from it. As soon as the last word left her lips, a blinding light filled the clearing, and a roar of fury echoed through the forest. The spirits that had been trapped within the wood were finally set free. The shadows retreated, revealing the true horror of the spirits that now surrounded Emma. They were grotesque, demonic creatures, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly fire. They advanced upon her, their claws extended, ready to tear her apart. Emma let out a scream of terror as she realized that she had made a terrible mistake. As the spirits closed in, she closed her eyes, waiting for the end to come. But it never did. Instead, she felt a powerful presence envelop her, protecting her from the spirits. When she opened her eyes, she saw that the spirits had vanished, and the forest was once again still and peaceful. Standing before her was an elderly man, his face weathered by time and experience. He introduced himself as the village elder, and he explained that the spirits had been trapped in the wood for centuries, thanks to the efforts of his ancestors. He told her that the villagers had feared that if they ever let their guard down, the spirits would be unleashed upon the world once more. The village elder thanked Emma for her bravery in confronting the spirits and offered her a place in their community. She declined his offer, saying that she had to move on and explore more of the world. As she walked away from the Whispering Woods, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment and a newfound respect for the people of the village. She knew that she had changed the forest forever, but she also knew that it was a change for the better. The spirits could now find peace, and the village would be safe once more. Emma continued on her journey, always remembering the lessons she had learned in the Whispering Woods and the courage she had found within herself. Her adventures took her to distant lands, where she faced new challenges and new monsters, but she never forgot the power of courage and the importance of standing up to the forces of darkness. And so, Emma's story continued, as she traveled the world, seeking adventure and leaving behind a trail of courage and hope wherever she went. The night air is thick with the scent of pine and the rustle of leaves as Emma, heart-pounding, flees through the Whispering Woods. The spirits that had been trapped within the ancient stone altar are now unleashed, their vengeful whispers echoing through the trees as they pursue her. The shadows dance around her, twisting and contorting into nightmarish forms, but she does not dare to look back. She can feel their cold, unyielding presence pressing against her from all sides, their malevolent intentions clear despite the silence of their footsteps. Emma stumbles through the darkness, her thoughts racing as fast as her heart. She wonders how she could have been so foolish as to read from that accursed tome, bound in human skin. It had seemed like just another old tale, a childish superstition, but now she knows the truth. The Whispering Woods are no mere forest. They are a prison for restless spirits, and she has set them free. As she runs, she trips over a root hidden beneath the leaves and tumbles forward, landing hard on the cold, damp earth. The impact knocks the breath from her lungs, and she lies there, gasping for air, as the whispers fade away momentarily. The spirits seem to have vanished, leaving her to wonder if she has truly escaped their wrath, or if they are merely biding their time. Slowly, Emma pushes herself up onto her elbows, wincing at the pain in her shoulder and side. The clearing she has landed in is small and secluded, hidden away from the main path through the woods. It is illuminated only by the faint light of the moon, which struggles to penetrate the dense canopy of trees overhead. The air is heavy with a sense of foreboding, as if the spirits might return at any moment. She looks around, searching for any clue as to how she might find her way back to the village. But all she sees are more trees and more shadows. Panic begins to rise within her chest, threatening to overwhelm her. She takes a deep breath and tries to calm herself, reminding herself that she has survived this far. Perhaps she can find her way out on her own. Emma stands unsteadily, brushing the leaves and twigs from her clothes. She begins to wander aimlessly through the clearing, her eyes darting from tree to tree, hoping to find some sign that will lead her back to civilization. As she walks, she cannot shake the feeling that she is being watched, that the spirits are still with her, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Hours pass, and Emma's strength begins to wane. She sinks to the ground, her back against a massive oak tree, and closes her eyes, trying to gather her thoughts and find the courage to keep going. In this moment of stillness, she swears she can feel the presence of the spirits around her, their whispers brushing against her skin like icy fingers. She shivers, wishing more than anything that she could go back and undo what she has done, but she knows that it is far too late for that. With a deep breath, Emma forces herself to stand once more. She takes a step forward, then another, determined to find her way back to the village and safety. As she walks, the trees begin to thin, and the light of the moon grows stronger. The air feels different here, cleaner and less oppressive. Perhaps she is nearing the edge of the woods, and with it, the chance of escape. With renewed hope, Emma picks up her pace, her footsteps falling more surely on the ground. The whispers fade into the distance, and she begins to believe that she might actually make it out alive. As she emerges from the darkness of the Whispering Woods, the village comes into view, its lights flickering warmly in the night. With a sigh of relief, she turns back to face the forest one last time, ready to put the horrors of the night behind her and never speak of what she has seen and felt. But she knows, deep down, that the spirits will always be with her, their whispers echoing in the back of her mind, a constant reminder of the consequences of meddling in matters that do not belong to her. The morning sunlight streamed through the dense canopy of the Whispering Woods, casting long, eerie shadows across the forest floor. Emma, still shaken from her encounter the night before, made her way back to the village, her heart pounding in her chest. She hurried to the elder's cottage, eager to understand the truth behind the haunted woods and find a way to put an end to the spirit's wrath. The elder, a frail but wise woman, sat outside her cottage, tending to her garden. Upon seeing Emma approach, she set down her gardening tools and motioned for her to sit down at a nearby bench. "You look troubled, child," she said in her soft, calm voice. "What is it that you've seen?" Emma took a deep breath, struggling to find the words to describe the horrors she had faced. I found an ancient stone altar in the woods," she began, her voice trembling, "and on it was an old tome, bound in human skin. I read from it, and it seemed to unleash the spirits that have been trapped there for centuries." The elder's eyes widened in understanding, and she nodded gravely. "I suspected as much," she said, her voice heavy with regret. "You have disturbed the balance, child. The tome was used by an ancient coven of witches to trap the vengeful spirits, preventing them from wreaking havoc upon the world." Emma felt a chill run down her spine at the elder's words. "What should I do now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can I put them back?" The elder took Emma's hand in hers, her grip firm but comforting. "It will not be an easy task, my dear," she said. "To contain the spirits once more, you must find the ritual that was used to trap them in the first place. It is hidden deep within the woods, and only by completing it can you hope to set things right. Emma felt a mixture of determination and fear welling up inside her. She knew that she had to try, not just for herself, but for the sake of the village and anyone else who might venture into the woods. With a steady breath, she stood up, nodding resolutely. "I will find the ritual," she said, "and I will put the spirits back where they belong." The elder smiled at her, her eyes filled with pride. "Then you must be brave, my child," she said. "The spirits will not make it easy for you. They will do whatever they can to stop you from succeeding." Emma felt the weight of the elder's words, but she refused to let fear win. She nodded, steeling herself for the challenge ahead. "I'll be careful," she said, her voice steady. "I'll find the ritual and put things right." With renewed determination, Emma set off back into the whispering woods, her heart pounding in her chest. The shadows seemed to dance around her as she made her way deeper into the forest, the whispers of the spirits echoing through the trees. She knew that she would face danger at every turn, but she was determined to see this through. As she wandered through the woods, Emma began to notice strange symbols etched into the ancient trees, guiding her toward the ritual site. The symbols seemed to glow with an eerie light, illuminating her path even through the dense foliage. She followed them, her heart racing with anticipation and fear, until at last she came upon a clearing at the center of the woods. There, in the center of the clearing, stood an ancient stone circle, surrounded by candles and adorned with the same symbols she had seen on the trees. A sense of awe and reverence washed over her as she realized that she had found the ritual site. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she must do, and began to read from the tome she had found, chanting the words of the ancient ritual. As she spoke, the spirits began to stir, their whispers growing louder and more frenzied. They circled her, their ethereal forms shimmering in the candlelight, but she did not falter. With each word she spoke, the power of the ritual grew stronger, and the spirits became more and more agitated. Finally, with a blinding flash of light and a deafening boom, the spirits were once again trapped within the ancient tome, their vengeful spirits contained within the stone altar. The silence that fell over the woods was almost as unsettling as the whispers had been. Emma stood there for a moment, catching her breath, before turning to leave the clearing. As she walked back toward the village, she couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment and relief wash over her. She had done it. She had put the spirits back where they belonged. When she arrived at the elder's cottage, the wise woman was waiting for her, a knowing smile on her face. "I knew you could do it, child," she said, taking Emma's hand in hers. "You have restored the balance, and the spirits will trouble us no more." Emma felt tears welling up in her eyes as she looked into the elder's kind, wise face. "Thank you," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "I couldn't have done it without your help." The elder smiled, patting her hand reassuringly. "It was not I who helped you, child," she said. "It was your courage and your determination. You did this, Emma, and the people of this village will never forget it." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at the elder's words, and she knew that she had found not only a mentor, but a friend. Together, they would face whatever challenges came their way, and they would protect their village from the darkness that lurked beyond the forest's edge. Emma sat cross-legged on the edge of her bed, the ancient tome resting on her lap. The worn leather binding creaked as she flipped through the yellowed pages, each filled with arcane symbols and cryptic writings. The air in her small room was thick with tension, as if the whispers from the whispering woods could still be heard even from miles away. She had spent the last few days locked in her room, poring over books and scrolls, desperately searching for a way to banish the spirits she had inadvertently released. Her mind raced as she read, trying to comprehend the complex ritual that was laid out before her. She knew that the tome had been used by an ancient coven of witches to trap the vengeful spirits, but now she was faced with the task of releasing them. The thought sent shivers down her spine, and she couldn't help but wonder if she was making the right decision. Outside her window, the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the village in a warm, golden light. The familiar sounds of livestock and laughter drifted up to her room, a stark contrast to the darkness that lurked within the whispering woods. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her nerves, and continued to read. According to the tome, the ritual must be performed on the night of a full moon, at the precise location where she had found the tome. It would require several rare ingredients, including the blood of a black goat and the ashes of a sacred tree. As she read through the instructions, she realized that the ritual would be dangerous, not only for her, but for anyone who might be nearby. Determined to put an end to the hauntings once and for all, Emma set about gathering the necessary items. She knew that the village elder would not approve of her actions, but she felt a sense of responsibility weighing heavily on her shoulders. She had started this, and now she had to finish it. The air grew colder as the night wore on, and the full moon cast an eerie glow over the whispering woods. Emma stood at the edge of the clearing, her heart racing as she prepared to enter the forest. She took a deep breath, steeling herself against the whispers and shadows that she knew would surround her. The tome felt heavy in her hands, as if it were filled with the weight of the ancient coven's knowledge and power. Making her way through the dense underbrush, she followed the trail she had taken before, leading back to the ancient stone altar. The moonlight glinted off of the eerie symbols carved into the rock, and she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. As she placed the tome on the altar, she felt a shiver run down her spine. The ritual began with the sacrifice of the black goat. Emma, her hands trembling, slit the animal's throat, letting its blood drip onto the altar. The metallic smell of blood filled the air, mingling with the scent of earth and pine. Next, she gathered the ashes of the sacred tree, which she had carefully hidden from the other villagers. As she scattered the ashes over the altar, they danced in the moonlight, taking on a life of their own. Finally, she took the ancient tome and began to read from it, her voice trembling with fear and determination. The words seemed to echo through the forest, and for a moment, she felt as if the spirits were listening, waiting for her to make a mistake. But she pushed through, reciting the incantations as instructed, and when she reached the end, a blinding flash of light consumed the altar. The whispers died away, replaced by the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. Emma collapsed to her knees, her heart racing. For a moment, she wasn't sure if the ritual had worked, but then she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The whispering woods were quiet, and she could finally sleep knowing that she had done everything in her power to set things right. As she made her way back to the village, the weight of the tome felt lighter on her shoulders, as if the burden of knowledge and power had been lifted from her. When she finally reached her bed, she fell asleep instantly, dreaming of the ancient coven and their struggle to contain the vengeful spirits. In her dreams, she knew that she had made the right choice, and that the spirits would finally find peace. As the sun rose over the village the next morning, she awoke with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to face whatever challenges the day might bring. The morning sun casts a warm, golden glow over the village of Kesseldorf as Emma, the village elder, and a small group of trusted allies make their way through the misty fields toward the whispering woods. The air is tense with anticipation and fear, for they have come to perform the ritual that will hopefully free the spirits trapped within the ancient woods. They approach the border of the forest, marked by a weathered wooden sign that warns of the dangers within. Emma takes a deep breath, steeling her courage, before speaking to the group. "We must remain strong and focused," she says, her voice steady despite the tremor in her lips. "If we do not complete this ritual, the spirits will continue to haunt the woods, claiming more innocent lives." The others nod in agreement, their faces grim but determined. They make their way through the dense forest, the eerie whispers and rustling leaves making it difficult to concentrate. The village elder, who has guided Emma through her journey of understanding the whispering woods, leads them to a clearing they had found during their research. In the center of the clearing lies the ancient stone altar, its surface etched with symbols that seem to writhe and twist in the dim light. Emma looks to the elder, who hands her the tome, bound in human skin, that she found during her first encounter with the spirits. "This is the key," the elder whispers. "Without it, the ritual will fail." Emma nods, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down upon her shoulders. She takes a deep breath, steadying herself, before beginning to read from the tome. Her words echo through the forest, seeming to stir the air around them. The whispers grow louder, more insistent, and the trees themselves begin to sway menacingly. The group tenses, bracing themselves for the spirit's arrival. Moments later, a cold wind sweeps through the clearing, sending leaves and twigs dancing about their feet. The spirits emerge from the shadows, their ethereal forms glowing with an otherworldly light. Their faces are twisted with rage and hunger, their eyes fixed on Emma and her companions. "So you have returned," hisses one of the spirits, its voice carrying through the forest like the rustle of leaves. "You have freed us from our eternal prison, and now we shall have our vengeance." The others join in, their voices rising in a cacophony of anger and anguish. The group shrinks back, terrified by the sight before them. Emma, however, remains steady. She looks up at the spirits, her own fear replaced by determination. "I know what I must do," she says, her voice strong and clear. "I will undo the harm that I have caused." The The spirits laugh, a chilling sound that sends shivers down the spines of her companions. You think you can simply undo what has been done, they taunt. You are but a mere mortal, while we have been trapped here for centuries. Emma does not flinch. She continues to read from the tome, following its instructions as best she can. The ritual progresses, the symbols on the altar beginning to glow with an otherworldly light. The spirits grow more agitated, their whispers turning to shouts and screams as they fight against the power of the ritual. The air around them crackles with energy, and the ground beneath their feet trembles. Finally, a blinding flash of light fills the clearing, momentarily blinding everyone. When their eyes adjust, they see that the spirits have disappeared, vanished into thin air. The forest is silent once more, the whispers replaced by the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. Emma collapses to her knees, exhausted from the effort of the ritual. Her companions rush to her side, helping her to stand. The village elder smiles warmly at her, a tear trickling down her cheek. "You have done it, child," she says, her voice trembling with emotion. "You have saved us all." As they make their way back to the village, the group is greeted with cheers and applause from the townsfolk. Emma, once an outsider, is now hailed as a hero. She takes a deep breath, the scent of freedom and renewal filling her lungs, and allows herself a small smile. She has faced her fears and conquered them, freeing the spirits and saving her village in the process. Her journey through the Whispering Woods has truly been a test of her strength and courage, and she emerges from it a changed woman. As they enter the village, basking in the warmth of the sun and the love of her people, Emma knows that she has found her place in the world. The Whispering Woods will always hold a special place in her heart, but she is now ready to face whatever challenges life may bring, knowing that she has the strength and wisdom to overcome them. The final moments of the ritual are tense and dangerous. Emma recites the ancient words, summoning the courage to face her fears. As she speaks, a blinding light fills the clearing, and the spirits are released, their torment finally over. The Whispering Woods fall silent, and the village breathes a sigh of relief. The elder wiped a tear from her eye, grateful that the suffering has ended. The villagers, who had gathered around the clearing, break into applause, hailing Emma as a heroine. They embrace her, thanking her for her bravery and determination. Emma stands at the center of the clearing, her heart pounding with exhilaration and relief. She looks around, taking in the now peaceful forest, and knows that she has done the right thing. The ancient tome, now freed from its dark purpose, crumbles to dust at her feet. The village elder approaches her, a smile on her wrinkled face. "You have done it, child," she says, taking Emma's hand in hers. "You have restored balance to the forest and brought peace to our people. Your courage will be remembered for generations to come." As the villagers disperse, returning to their homes, Emma finds herself alone with the elder. She thanks the old woman for her guidance and support, and they sit down on a nearby log to catch their breath. "You know," the elder says, gazing into the distance, "the spirits were not always so malicious. They were once a coven of wise women, powerful in their knowledge and magic. They protected the forest and its creatures, ensuring that all who dwelt within its bounds lived in harmony. But over time, their power became corrupted, and they turned against the very people they once swore to protect." Emma listens intently, fascinated by the elder's story. "What happened to them?" she asks, her voice barely above a whisper. The elder sighs heavily. "They were betrayed, my dear, by someone they trusted, someone who was jealous of their power and sought to destroy them. The traitor summoned dark forces from beyond the veil, and in the ensuing battle, the coven was torn apart. Their spirits were trapped here, bound to the earth by the tome and the symbols on the altar. And so it remained, until you came along and set them free." Emma feels a pang of guilt, knowing that she inadvertently unleashed the spirits upon the forest. But she also feels a sense of pride, of accomplishment. She has faced her fears and made a difference. She has saved lives and restored balance to the world. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm glow through the trees, Emma realizes that she has truly come to understand the power of courage and the importance of taking responsibility for one's actions. The elder pats her hand reassuringly. "You have done well, Emma. Now it is time for you to decide what path you will take. You could stay here, among our people, and share your knowledge with them. Or you could return to your own life, taking with you the wisdom you have gained." Emma looks around, taking in the beauty of the forest and the strength of its people. She knows that she could be happy here, surrounded by love and acceptance. But deep down, she feels a pull towards her own life, towards the world beyond these woods. With a sigh, she stands up, stretching her tired muscles. "Thank you, elder. she says, her voice firm with determination. Your people will always have a place in my heart, but for now, I must find my own path. The elder smiles, understanding her decision. Then go with our blessing, Emma. And remember, wherever your journey takes you, you will always have the strength and courage within you that you discovered here. With one last nod of farewell, Emma turns and walks away from the whispering woods, her steps light and her heart full. The path before her stretches out like a winding ribbon, leading her back to the world she once knew. But she carries with her the lessons she learned in the forest, and the memories of the people she left behind. For even as she leaves the whispering woods behind, they will always remain a part of her, shaping the person she is to become. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the quaint village nestled in the heart of the Black Forest, a sense of relief and celebration filled the air. The villagers, who had long lived in fear of the haunted, whispering woods, now looked upon Emma with awe and gratitude. Their once distant demeanor had transformed into genuine warmth and friendship, and they gathered around her, showering her with praise for her bravery and wisdom. Emma, still recovering from the harrowing ordeal, could hardly believe the change that had come over the village since she'd returned with the elder. The tense atmosphere had dissipated, and the normally quiet villagers laughed and shared stories amongst themselves. The elder, who had once been stern and distant, now seemed to take a special interest in her, offering guidance and advice whenever they spoke. As the celebration continued into the night, Emma found herself drawn to the elder, curious about the depth of his knowledge and the experiences he'd lived through. He saw the questions in her eyes and motioned for her to follow him deeper into the village, away from the revelers. They walked in silence for a time, the rustling of the leaves beneath their feet the only sound to break the stillness. Eventually, the elder stopped outside of a small, unassuming cottage and gestured for her to enter. Inside, the cottage was cozy and inviting, filled with books and scrolls of every shape and size. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows against the walls. The elder motioned for her to sit across from him at a small, ornately carved table, and for a moment, Emma felt as if she'd been transported back in time. "Emma," he began, his voice gentle and soothing, "you have done something truly remarkable today. Not only have you saved the village from the vengeful spirits, but you have also uncovered the truth behind the whispering woods. There is much more to learn, however. The tome you found contains knowledge about other supernatural beings and events. It is my hope that you will allow me to be your mentor, to guide you on your path as a witch and a guardian of the forest." Emma's heart swelled with gratitude and excitement. She had never imagined that her journey would lead her to such a profound connection with another person, let alone someone as wise and experienced as the elder. As they spent the rest of the night discussing the ancient texts and sharing stories of their own experiences with the supernatural, Emma knew that this was where she belonged. Days turned into weeks, and Emma became a fixture in the village. She and the elder spent every spare moment together, delving deeper into the mysteries of the forest and the secrets of magic. They explored hidden groves and ancient ruins, uncovering new knowledge and understanding with every step. The bond between them grew stronger, and Emma found herself looking forward to each new adventure with anticipation and excitement. As word of their exploits spread throughout the forest, Emma and the elder became known as the guardians of the woods, protecting the balance between the natural world and the supernatural. Villagers from far and wide sought their advice and guidance, and Emma took pride in using her newfound knowledge to help those in need. One crisp autumn morning, as Emma and the elder sat atop a hill overlooking the village, a messenger hurried up the path, his face streaked with dirt and exhaustion. He approached them breathlessly, falling to his knees before them. "Master," he gasped, "there's been an incident. A creature of the forest has been spotted near the eastern edge of the woods. It is said to be unlike any creature seen before, and it is growing stronger by the day." The elder's eyes narrowed as he studied the messenger. "Show us," he growled, and the three of them set off at a brisk pace, leaving the village behind them. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew thick with tension and danger. The creaking of branches and the rustling of leaves seemed to follow them, as if the very woods themselves were warning them of what lay ahead. After several hours of hiking, they emerged into a clearing dominated by a massive, ancient tree. At its base, a creature unlike anything they'd ever seen before squatted, its back hunched and its skin gleaming in the sunlight. It was part wolf, part bear, and part something else entirely, and its eyes burned with a malevolent intelligence. As they watched, it raised its head and let out a low, guttural growl, revealing a mouth full of jagged teeth. The elder looked at Emma, his expression grim. "This creature," he said, "it has been created by the imbalance in the forest. Ancient spirits have been drawn to the power of dark magic, and they have used it to create this monster. It is up to us to put an end to this threat and restore balance to the forest once more." Emma nodded solemnly, her heart racing with fear and determination. She knew that they had no choice but to face the creature and end its reign of terror. Slowly, she drew her wand, feeling the power thrumming through it. The elder did the same, and together they began to chant an ancient spell, summoning the forces of nature to aid them in their battle. As they finished the spell, a blinding flash of light engulfed them, and when it cleared, the creature was gone, vanished as if it had never been. In its place stood a young sapling, its branches reaching toward the sky. The elder knelt before the tree, his hands pressed to the soil, and whispered a final prayer for the spirits of the forest. When he stood, he turned to Emma, a look of pride and affection in his eyes. "Well done, Emma," he said. "You have proven yourself a true guardian of the forest. The balance has been restored, and the spirits have been given peace once more. Your journey has only just begun, but I have no doubt that you will continue to make the world a better place with each step you take." Emma beamed with pride and gratitude, and as they walked back toward the village, she knew that she had found her home. Together, she and the elder would face whatever challenges came their way, protecting the forest and its inhabitants from harm. For as long as she lived, she would be a guardian of the forest, a witch and a warrior, and the embodiment of hope and light in a world filled with darkness and fear. As the springtime breeze rustled through the newly budding leaves of the whispering woods, Emma strolled along a winding path, her heart filled with a sense of purpose and belonging. She had become an integral part of the small village nestled at the edge of the forest, using her knowledge of magic and the ancient tome to help her friends and neighbors. The elderly villagers would often gather around her, eager to hear her tales of adventure and wisdom. Emma's mentor, the wise and ancient village elder, was a constant source of guidance and support. Together, they explored the hidden corners of the forest, uncovering secrets about the ancient coven of witches who had once called the Black Forest home. As Emma delved deeper into the world of magic, she began to understand the weight of her responsibility. One morning, as Emma was tending to her garden, she overheard several villagers whispering about a strange figure who had been spotted lurking near the edge of the woods. Intrigued, she hurried to the elder to seek his counsel. The elder's face was grave as he shared his concerns. "It seems that there are those who wish to use your newfound status for their own gain," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "They seek power and dominion, and they believe that you hold the key to achieving it." Determined to uncover the truth, Emma set out to investigate the matter further. As she ventured deeper into the forest, she felt a growing sense of unease. The normally peaceful woods seemed to hum with an ominous energy, as if something sinister lurked just beyond the edge of sight. Finally, she came upon a hidden clearing, where she found several villagers gathered around a cloaked figure. As she drew closer, she recognized the figure as the village blacksmith, a kind and trusted man. The cloaked figure revealed itself to be a powerful sorcerer, who had been using the blacksmith as a pawn in his plans. The sorcerer had sought to manipulate Emma and the village elder, using their knowledge and trust to further his own dark ambitions. In a tense confrontation, Emma managed to banish the sorcerer back to the spirit realm, but not before he swore vengeance. Upon returning to the village, Emma found that the villagers had rallied behind her, recognizing her as their true guardian. They celebrated her victory over the sorcerer, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there were others like him out there, waiting for an opportunity to strike. As the summer months passed, Emma continued to train with the village elder, honing her skills and learning more about the ancient ways of magic. The forest seemed to whisper to her, offering its secrets and guidance. She knew that her journey was far from over, and that there were many challenges yet to face. But for now, she basked in the warmth of the village's love and protection, determined to keep them safe from the shadows that lurked beyond the edge of the world. Thank you so much for joining me on this cinematic journey. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Have you experienced a spine-chilling horror that left you trembling? Share your terrifying tale with us by emailing nightmarenetwork@hotmail.com, and we'd be thrilled to feature it on our platform. Until next time, happy movie watching.